10 crazy things that are forbidden in Pro Call of Duty. Before we start, I would like you to hit that red subscribe button so that you never miss out on any of our videos. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to COD Filmy. Here are 10 things wrong with Call of Duty we all choose to ignore. 10. Match rules and referees. Each year, the official CWL rulebook relays the exact match specifications for each game type, though they likely only include this information for the sake of posterity. Aside from a few minor tweaks to the respawn rate and overall game time, little has been altered from the basic match settings with which casual fans should be familiar. One major difference, of course, will be the inclusion of a COD caster who assumes the role of match commentator. There are also impartial referees who resolve in-game disputes and manage time stoppages, similar to many other professional sports. This may seem obvious to many MLG fans, but it's interesting to see just how in-depth these official rules can be. 9. Official referees must be present. It's tough to take a game seriously if there isn't some form of official mediation, and such elements are crucial for sports struggling to be taken seriously. As previously stated, all official CWL matches must be monitored by a referee, most with extensive knowledge of the game or a close connection to the CWL community will be able to apply for a referee position, though, unlike other professional sports, these are almost always voluntary roles. Activision may seem eager to cash in on hype surrounding Major League Gaming, but that doesn't mean they will be willing to pay any non-vital employees. Should a match be conducted without a referee present, it can't be counted as an officially sanctioned match, and the results will be nullified. 8. Reread the rulebook. This isn't an explicitly stated rule, but anyone wishing to compete in the CWL would do well to go through the rulebook several times throughout the year to keep abreast of new policy changes. Though some minor tweaks and changes to the rules aren't uncommon in other professional sporting leagues, major changes and profoundly game-altering rule sets are instituted often in the world of professional Call of Duty. Recent Call of Duty titles have changed and evolved as developers have responded to community feedback, and the CWL rulebook is always changed in order to reflect these alterations. In a way, this is a bit of a nuisance, as it makes it that much more difficult for would-be fans to follow what is going on in the league. 7. Coaching is serious business. Rules of this nature came into question recently when tennis star Serena Williams was called for receiving tips or information from her coach during a match. Williams clearly wasn't pleased about the accusation, but it's a strange rule which actually occurs in several other professional sports. The CWL rulebook specifically bans coaching and states that players aren't allowed to have any sort of communication with their team coaches. As silly as something like a Call of Duty coach may sound to someone unfamiliar with the league, professional Call of Duty, in the minds of many, is every bit as much of a sport as any other competitive event, and similar rules often apply. 6. Team sponsorship has its own guidelines. Just as teams in the MLS bear brand names on their jerseys or high-profile NASCAR drivers will coat their car in advertising material, teams competing in the CWL are allowed to accept partnerships and promote certain products to their financial benefit. Much of the league's sponsorship comes in the form of brands and products with which avid gamers will probably already be familiar, but these partnerships double as another way of legitimizing the sport in the eyes of the public. That said, CWL teams aren't allowed to promote anything of a decidedly adult flair. Most crucially, the CWL rulebook specifically bars teams from receiving any sort of endorsement from electronic vaporizer manufacturers, which seems like a bit of a missed opportunity. 5. Don't bet on it, or risk never playing again. This shouldn't come as much of a surprise, given that such activities are banned in just about every sport and resided in a legally gray area nationally until not long ago. But players aren't allowed to bet on the outcomes of any CWL matches. Several high-profile players in the MLB, NFL, NHL, and plenty of other sports have actually been banned from their respective leagues for failing to adhere to this rule, and it is a bit of a concern within the professional Call of Duty community. It should be noted that though this is different from the skin gambling epidemic, which has placed companies like EA's and Valve in hot water recently, in-game weapon skins have definitely changed hands as a result of some illicit wagers in the past. 4 players could be red-carded. Just about all soccer fans should know what it means when a referee waves a red card in a player's face, but few realize that a similar system is in place in CWL tournaments. Though it doesn't come up all that often, players can actually be ejected from a match based on their behavior. Should someone stand in clear and obvious violation of the league's sportsmanship rules, they may well either face penalties, fines, or in some cases, total expulsion. It isn't perhaps as dramatic as what often happens in soccer matches, but it can be sort of funny nonetheless. Again, this highlights why referees are so essential to official Call of Duty matches, despite the game's relative autonomy. 3. Earning pro points. One strange restriction which every CWL contestant must put up with comes from the fact that players and teams can only qualify for matches based on the amount of Call of Duty Pro points they have earned. Given the slightly chaotic structure of the league, matches aren't usually organized based on wins and losses. Instead, those wishing to qualify for an upcoming event need to have earned enough points in previous competitions to be eligible for entry. This is a system pretty foreign to new fans, and essentially guarantees that the highest-ranking teams will continue to gain exposure while less successful teams wither away. If the Cleveland Browns played in the CWL, they would have disbanded a long time ago. 2. Check the dress code. This is probably the silliest rule in the CWL rulebook, but players are required to match both their teams and the league's dress code before participating in a match. This may sound completely ridiculous based on the fact that, well, it's Call of Duty, but the league needs to do everything it can to make sure that they can be taken seriously. A bunch of slovenly dressed teenagers masquerading as competitive professionals could definitely damage some reputations, and Activision doesn't want its own players making a mockery of the league. That said, offending players can actually receive a fine of up to $500 should they fail to show up in the correct clothes. That's a terrible way to spend half a grand. 1. Restricted speech. While a majority of professional sporting leagues allow their players to openly critique and even speak ill of the league in which they play, Activision's CWL does not extend the same courtesy. Lots of stock is placed in remarks people make on Twitter these days, and those wishing to compete in Call of Duty professionally need to be extra careful of what they say. Players can be fined up to $1,000 for their negative comments. Unfortunately, the rulebook doesn't explicitly detail what the league considers to constitute a negative comment, but smart players may want to avoid bringing it up altogether. There are quite a few pros in other leagues which would long ago have been fined if they involved themselves with Call of Duty's Pro League. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our videos in the future. Also, watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you'll love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video.